Good day to my lecturer and classmate. Today our group will be presenting about Absolut Vodka, specifically on their 2008 advertisement, the Absolut Mexican advertisement. Let's do an introduction about Absolut Vodka. It is a company that produce high quality vodka and also we know as high quality alcohol. And it was founded in the 19th century by the Swedish entrepreneur named Lars Orson Smith, and his mission was wanted to do absolutely pure vodka. And the brand was launched in 1979. The owner now named Fiona Richard in and no one day under the company grow and the market sales getting higher. They are not only focused on the alcohol quality but also focus on the aesthetic and the design and the brand identity. And it's small details about this vodka. The vodka is made by the Swedish winter wheat and the pure water from Aarhus. And now let's move to the stakeholder analysis. The first stakeholder analysis we have is the society, and the advertisement bring to the very big controversy to the Canada and United States, because for the citizenship in that country that seen this advertisement as an insulting to their nation. But on the other hand, the Mexican people think that this advertisement actually bring a national pride to them, and also the historical reflection between the politic for US and Mexican. And the different for two nation citizenship see the advertisement actually bring to a very bad culture diversion, and it bring to a lot of hate comment in the online. The second stake analysis is the customer. Many of the customer in the United States start boycotting the brand, and because they feel like the advertisement is very disrespectful to their nation, because since a lot of them is start boycotting the brand, it lead to the market damage for Absolut Vodka, since the US is one of their key market. The next one is the employees. Some of the employees working in this company get criticism by the US people. They're asking them shouldn't work in this company since they have the advertisement that is like insulting their national, and most of the employee actually got like very stressed and then also like physical effect, because either they have to quit or they have to like stay and take the criticism, and then it lead to their professional stability in the company working as well. And lastly, we have the shareholder. The controversy caused a drop in sales and the value in the United States. Because of the incident, the people in US and Canada is boycotting the brand and negatively publishing about the brand, and the shareholder is very concerned about the profit over how to like maintain the brand, and then they get profit, like since the US is one of their key market for Absolut Vodka. And that's all for the shareholder. Now I will move to the ethical theory application to my groupmate.
Hi, my name is Lao Zengkit, and I'll be discussing about the ethical theory applications of the Absolut Vodka in an Absolut World advertisement campaign. Okay, let's start with utilitarianism. According to utilitarianism, the morality of an action depends on its outcome. In other words, if an action increases happiness and reduces suffering for the greatest number of people, it is considered morality right. In the case of Absolut Vodka Mexico campaign, the advertisement can spark cultural pride in Mexico. However, it caused major offense in the United States, which is the brand main's market. The campaign led to consumer boycotts, harsh media criticism, and public backlash. Financially and reputationally, the brand suffered. From a utilitarian point of view, the campaign is unethical because the negative consequences such as damaged relationships and reduced overall well being, far outweigh the positive ones. Moving on, uh, is egoism. This theory is based on self interest. It says that an action is morally right if it benefits the individual of or a company making the decision. From this perspective, Absolut Vodka likely launched the ad in Mexico to appeal to Mexican national pride and boost sales in that market. They prioritize their own benefit, aiming to grow brand loyalty and profits. However, by focusing too much on self interest, they overlook the negative impact the ad would have in the US. The backlash harmed their long term reputation and relationship with a much larger market. This shows that while egoism can bring short term gains, it may lead to serious long term damage. Finally, let's talk about meta ethics viewpoint, specifically cognitivism. We ask whether moral statements can be objectively true or false. In this case, the Absolut ad showed a distorted map where the parts of the United States were included as Mexican territory. According to cognitivism, and this is not just an opinion, it is a factual mistake. Misrepresenting geography in such sensitive way can lead to political tension and conflict between people of different nations. So, from a meta-ethical perspective, this advertisement is factually wrong and therefore morally wrong because it spreads misinformation that could cause real world disharmony.
Today I'll be talking about advertising theory. So what is advertising theory? It aims to explain how advertising messages influence consumer and achieve their objective. So from the picture you see on the left side, the map shows represent an alternate reality. It shows what the US and Mexico would like if the Mexican-American border had never changed. This creates a strong emotional symbol of Mexican pride and historical identity. So while a controversial acts like this can be actually be effective, but controversial or provocative content often sticks in people's mind, helping it increase brand and recognition and memorability. So Absolute is also known for its bold and creative marketing. This ad continued the tradition by portraying and sophisticating and daring messages which align with their brand personality. So Absolute uses this red ad was part of their localized campaign aimed specifically at the Mexican market. It also tailored to fit their local culture. But didn't know later, the message it sparked wider into controversy. So for advertising theory, there will be three element effect on desire. First is effect on desire. Second, effect on belief. Third is social effect. Effect on desire. The ad attempt to inspire viewers by painting an idealistic world, one where problems like inequality and injustice seems to disappear. It links this dream world to the product, suggesting that drinking Absolute Vodka can somehow connect you to this better future. For example, advertising on desire can be means making people feel that drinking their product will be connect them to a better world. But in reality, this kind of emotional appeal can feel quite manipulative. If the ad is selling a fantasy rather than being grounded in truth. For many, including myself, it comes off an unrealistic and even misleading. So next, we have effect on belief. So in belief is advertising theories aim to explain how advertising messages influence consumers and achieve their objective. The imaginary of the inverted US and Mexico border sparked confusion. Some viewers interpreted it as an absolute supporting a particular political point of view, or even referencing a historical amendment. But this was not clearly explained, and so the act unintentionally created a political message. As a result, some consumers felt misled or offended, especially those sensitive to issues around national identity and borders. This can harm brand trust and loyalty. This ad could be confusing and public mistaken. Absolut is trying to support certain political factors. Lastly, we have a social effect. Social effect means is the broader impact of advertising on social values, expectation groups, behavior, identity, and public discourse. It impacted cultural sensitivity, raised debate about corporate responsibility, triggering social discourse, and what it was meant to be creative, maybe even humorous act, but ended up it being seen as disrespectful. It reignited debates about colonization, nationality, identity, and historical tension rather than promoting unity. It actually deepened divisions and showing how easily a message can be wrong if not carefully thought and go through.
Let's move to content theory in relation to the Absolut Vodka advertisement. This theory was introduced by Immanuel Kant, an 18th century philosopher who believed that ethics isn't about consequences, it's about intention and doing what's morally right. The core idea is that an action is only ethical if it could be applied universally and if it respects people as individuals, not just tools for gain. Now, content theory has two parts. First is the universal law. This says we should act only in ways we'd be okay with everyone else doing too. So, if everyone used emotional or political manipulation in ads, would that be okay? In the case of Absolut Vodka, their ad imagined Mexico reclaiming parts of the US, which triggered political and emotional reaction. From content theory point of view, this is not ethical because if all companies distort history for sales, people would lose trust and it would cause confusion about what's morally acceptable. The second part of content theory is the human law, which says we should treat people as ends in themselves, never as tools. Absolut's ad clearly used national identity and historical conflict to provoke emotional reactions and sell alcohol. This disrespects the individual in both countries by using their culture and conflict for profit. As results, the ad didn't just offend, it caused backlash and boycotts because people felt exploited. So, in conclusion, based on both parts of content theory, Absolut Vodka's ad is unethical. It couldn't be universalized without harming society, and it used people's emotions without respecting their dignity. From content theory view, the brand failed to uphold moral duty, honesty, and respect, which are the foundation of ethical behavior.
Hi, my name is Xiao Feng. I'll be talking about the ethical recommendations for Absolut Vodka map advertisement. So, the first recommendation is to maximizing collective happiness through cultural unity, which link to utilitarian theory. So, to address the backlash from the Absolut map advertisement, the company should start by public apologize for any unintended offense. Next, they should launch a new campaign that celebrates cultural unity and mutual respect, which target at both US and Mexican audience. And this would help to repair reputational damage, build stronger consumer relationships, and prevent similar issues in the future. And finally, Absolut Vodka can support cross-cultural activities that promote shared values. In short, by maximizing collective happiness, the brand can realign itself ethically and restore goodwill. For the next recommendation is to rebuilding trust through responsible corporate action, which link to CSR theory. In this recommendation, Absolut Vodka should take active responsibility for the advertisement impact. One way to rebuild trust with US consumers is by launching a special US edition bottle signaling inclusivity. The company should also share lessons learned publicly to demonstrate transparency and growth. An internal review system for future advertisement will ensure higher ethical standards. And additionally, by using surveys and stakeholder feedback, Absolut Vodka can align its campaigns more closely with societal values. These actions reflects the core of CSR, which is protecting the brand's long-term reputation while respecting all stakeholders. For the next page, let's now come to the third recommendation, which is ensuring rational and respectful messaging, which link to meta-ethics theory. Absolut Vodka should create or consult an independent ethics committee to assess future campaigns. All advertisement content must be rational, culturally sensitive, and respectful. And by doing so, the company ensures its messaging is not only persuasive but ethically sound. This builds global trust and reflects a commitment to responsible advertising beyond short-term gains. Now come to the second last recommendation, which is designing an ethical advertisement, and which link to advertising theory. In this recommendation, Absolut Vodka must set clear internal advertising guidelines that promote neutrality and factual accuracy. Before releasing any campaign, the company should test its message with diverse audiences to spot potential red flags. Pre-testing emotionally sensitive content using surveys and focus group can prevent misunderstandings. And ultimately, ethical advertising is not only about manipulation, but it's also about honesty, fairness, and respect. Now come to the last recommendation, which is acting with moral duty, and this recommendation is linked to Kantian theory. So, the company should have immediately removed the controversial advertisement once the backlash started. Going forward, all marketing efforts must go through a truth ethics policy review. Absolut should strive to respect every culture in its campaign, not just because it benefits the business, but also because it is the right thing to do. By doing so, the brand shows commitment to universal moral value, not just commercial success. Now come to the last page of our presentation, which is the conclusion of our report. To conclude, this case clearly shows how marketing decisions impact how people see a brand and how it connects with key stakeholders. While Absolut Vodka aimed to spark cultural talk, it ended up causing controversy, especially in US. The result was public backlash, boycotts, and reputational damage, a strong response from one of its biggest markets. Stakeholders, including customers, society, employees, and investors, were affected, in both emotionally and financially. From all five ethical theories, utilitarian theory, CSR theory, meta-ethics theory, advertising theory, and content theories, it's clear that Absolut Vodka didn't fully consider the broader ethical consequences. So, in the future, the brand must strike a balance between creativity and cultural sensitivity. They need internal ethical review systems, a strong stakeholder focus, and a socially conscious marketing strategy to prevent such issues and build lasting trust. So, the next page is about our references for our report, and the last page is a link for our presentation. So it's come to the end for our presentation. So thank you for your patience for listening to our presentation, and thank you very much.